Good morning. You should be planning to watch Introduction to Algebra with the 8th grade. This is for Wednesday, March the 18th. Yesterday, we began talking about equations that have variables on both sides. Remember, our goal is to get all of the variables on one side, all of our constants on the other. Let's look at a couple of equations today in the form of review. We have negative 3x minus 11 equals negative 3. Now again, I want to get all of my constants on one side and all the variables on the other. So I need to move this, I need to get rid of this negative 11 so that I can have my negative 3x by itself. Of course, we have two rules when it comes to equations. Do the opposite of what the equation tells you. And second, whatever you do on the left, you must do on the right. So it says to subtract or have a negative 11. So we're going to add 11. Again, what we do on the left, we're going to do on the right. Now these two 11s are going to cancel out and give me 0, leaving me negative 3x equals. Now I have a negative 3 and a positive 11. So my answer is going to be a positive 8. So far, I've done great. Let's look at this rest of this equation. I know how to get rid of a negative 3 to leave only my x to itself. Negative 3x means multiply negative 3 times x. Opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide both sides by negative 3. Because whatever I do on the left, I must do on the right. When I divide each side by negative 3, this cancels, leaving me only the x, and I have a negative 8 over 3, or 8/3. There's your answer. Okay, let's try the same process again with a different equation. We have negative 2x plus 3 equals 2. Again, I want to get all of my constants on one side, all of my variables on the other. So the easiest way is going to be to get rid of this positive 3. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 3. That's rule number 1, do the opposite. Rule number 2, whatever you do on the left, do on the right. So I'm going to subtract 3 from that side. This is going to cancel, leaving me negative 2x equals 2 minus 3 is a negative 1. Now, both sides of my equation are negative, and I want to make it a little easier to use. I know that if I multiply any number by 1, I haven't changed its value. So if I multiply it by a negative 1, remember, it changes the sign without changing the value, and I can do that as long as I multiply everything in the equation by the negative 1. So I'm going to multiply negative 2x times negative 1. Doesn't change my 2x, it simply changes my sign to 2x. Now I'm going to multiply the other side. Negative 1 times negative 1 is going to be a 1, and it's positive, remember, because negative times negative is positive. So now my equation is 2x equals 1. Now I need to get rid of this 2. It says to multiply by 2, so I know that I'm going to divide by 2. So I'm going to put 2x divided by 2 equals 1 divided by 2. And my 2's are going to cancel, leaving me only x equals 1/2. I'm sorry if you can't quite see that on the board. There we go. So x equals 1/2. Now if I wanted to check this problem, all I would do is rewrite my problem. Negative 2x plus 3 equals 2. In fact, I'm going to write that right up here at the top. Now, I said that x equals 1/2 in the bottom. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to put 2 times 1/2 plus 3 equals 2. And then I will be able to solve my equation and find my answer. For time's sake, we won't do that today. But we are going to look at another equation. What do you do if you have multiple things to do? Okay? you have 4x plus 6 equals x minus 5. The rule isn't any different. I still need to get my constants on one side and my variables on the other. So I look at this and I'm going to say, I'm going to move this 6. It says add 6, so I'm going to subtract 6. My goal is to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6. Now when I do that, the 6's will cancel, leaving me only the 4x. So I have 4x equals x. Now I have a minus 5 minus 6, so I have a minus 11 or a negative 11. Now I need to get rid of that x so that my constant is by itself. So it says I'm going to add this x. Well, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract x. Now remember, a letter without any kind of coefficient, in other words, without any number in front of it, is really a 1. So if you were a little confused, I could have put a 1x there and a 1x here. And over here, the x's are very easy to see that they're going to cancel, leaving me a negative 11. Over here, I put the 1 in front of it for some of you that might think, oh, wait a minute, where'd she get that? Okay, 4x minus 1x is 3x. Now I have 3x equals minus a negative 11. Now what am I going to do? I need to get rid of the 3. Well, 3x means to multiply, so I'm going to divide. Okay, so we're going to write 3x divided by 3, or over 3, means to divide, equals a negative 11 over 3. And again, we're going to look at this and say, oh, my 3's cancel. That would make them both 1s, so now all I have is a x equals negative 11 over 3. X equals negative 11 over 3. Now, what we've just done is we have practiced when we have an equation with variables on both sides. Basically, you need to remember, my goal is to get x by itself. I'm going to do the opposite of what the equation says. The only time in your life you're allowed to be a rebel, do the opposite of what the equation says. And second, whatever I do on the left, I must do on the right. I have to keep my equation balanced, just like a seesaw. It's got to stay balanced. I can't have one up here, one down here. I've got to keep them the same. Now, today, for your assignment, I want you to take your quiz worksheets, the daily quizzes that we do. I want you to do that. I want you to do the front and the back, numbers 75 and 76 as practice. Your homework assignment is going to be numbers 17 through 30 on our problem set 97. Only 17 through 30 on problem set 97. Okay, so problem set 97, 17 through 30, and you need to do the worksheet quiz 75 and 76. I highly suggest that you do those 2 assignments before taking your math quiz. It'll just help you make sure you have it all fresh in your mind before you take your online quiz. You must take the online quiz today. Don't forget. Okay? Thank you and have a great day.